I'm Katie Wells, host of the Maximized Minimalist podcast. I escaped the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood, overwhelmed by clutter and buried under the mental load. Now I live in a home that feels calm, manageable, and made for real life. I have margin in my days, energy for who matters most, and time for slow mornings and silly dance parties in the kitchen with my family. With over 5 million listens, the show has helped women around the world turn their homes into their happy place. Around here, we simplify for more peace, more presence, and more joy. We choose grace over guilt and progress over perfection. And we believe your home should give back more than it takes. I'm here to help you do the same. Come along with me and my guests as we share the real stories, habits, and strategies that help you lighten the load from the inside out. Pull up a seat, friend, and let's do this together. Ready, set, simplify. What is up, simplifiers? Last week, we talked about how to let go of those gifts, especially when they meant something to you once, but just aren't useful anymore. But today, we're tackling a different kind of stuck. What about the things you bought? Maybe the baby gear you researched for hours, the high chair or furniture or side table you paid good money for. Maybe it still has monetary value. Maybe you've even tried selling it, but it's just sitting there kind of haunting you. If you're anything like I was, maybe you've said, I'll list it next week every day for the last 2 months. Or maybe it's sitting by your front door or in your garage right now, reminding you that you need to do something with it. So this is what we're getting into today, because this is, again, one of those sneaky clutter traps I see time and time again. And if you've ever said, hey, I'm going to list it, but it's still sitting there weeks later, maybe you don't know how much to list it for, if it's worth your time, all these things, this episode is for you. So I want to start off by saying, why is this so hard? It seems simple, right? Just sell the thing. But for a lot of us, it's not so simple. Maybe it's not that you don't have the time to list it. It's not even that you're lazy or indecisive. It's just your brain. So there are 2 psychological effects happening here. And these are important to talk about. And these, and our brains in general, are exactly why checklists oversimplify the decluttering. This is why we do holistic decluttering here on the show in, the Katie Wells world, because we have to work with our brains, not against it. So number 1 is the endowment effect. Just owning something makes us overvalue it. Did you know this? I remember when I discovered this endowment effect years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, there's not something wrong with me. I am not broken. This is just how our brains are wired. In fact, there is a really interesting famous study where researchers gave people, y'all, this is crazy to me, a coffee mug, not like a crazy cool one. Like my friend does pottery. She makes these really extravagant, beautiful coffee mugs that you want to display. They're so gorgeous. It was not that. It was a basic coffee mug from IKEA or something. And then asked the people, hey, what do you think this coffee mug is worth? People who had or owned the mug that was given to them valued it twice as much as people who didn't. So there's a group of people who weren't given a mug, a group of people who were. The people who weren't given the mug gave they're that's not worth very much. And the people who did, twice as much. This is because the longer they held it, and y'all, even by minutes I'm talking. So the more minutes they owned it, the more they valued it. They're like, oh yeah, this is worth $6. And the person who'd owned it 30 minutes more was like, oh no, this mug is worth $6.50. This is so interesting to me. We are no different. And think about the things you've been clinging to or you're wanting to sell, but you've owned it for years or decades. Maybe you have family. We all have those parents or grandparents or people in our family. We're like, dang, yeah, Aunt Betty, she's had some of her stuff for 50, 60 years, right? This is why it's a struggle to let go of. Not even selling, donating, just letting go of. So if you've had that swing or stroller or piece of furniture for a while, your brain is likely inflating the monetary value of it. And number 2 is the sunk cost fallacy. This is the voice that says, hey girl, you paid good money for this. You can't just give it away. These 2 combined are like a double whammy. They trap you in this, we'll call it an illusion that letting go equals losing, right? Our brains don't like to lose. None of us like to feel like we're losing. If you buy something for $100 and I say, go donate that, it's clutter, you're going to be like, girl, you crazy. I'm not losing $100. That's what it feels like, right? So now that we've named these two, I want to move forward. I think it's important to acknowledge that part of it is how we're wired. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not lazy, all these things. But how do you actually decide what to do next, right? So let's start with a gut check. This is where it's important to pay attention. Close your eyes for a second. Picture that item you have sitting around. You're like, maybe you've posted it and it hasn't sold, or maybe you just want to sell it. And it's not a matter of like where to sell it. You can figure those logistics out, but it's like, how much do I post it for? And all these different things, right? Maybe it's the fancy coffee maker, the expensive jeans, whatever it is. Now picture handing it to a neighbor this afternoon. And they smile and they're so excited. And you feel your hallway open up, your shoulders drop, and it's just gone. Now, picture keeping that item another month. It's sitting on your countertop, it's sitting in your garage, or it's sitting in your wherever, and haggling over 10 or 20 more bucks. Which feeling wins? That little gut squeeze or gut check, like that is your real answer. It's telling you what matters most right now. Because here's the truth, value isn't fixed. It changes. When you first bought that item, value probably meant features. It's going to help me in some way, shape, or form, reach my goals, help my baby sleep, whatever, and price tags. But now, if it's sitting in your entryway, cluttering your brain and making you sigh every time you see it, the real value might be in letting go. Okay, and if you still feel torn, try this. This is just a simple 1-week experiment. Drop the price, or if you haven't posted it, post it for what you think makes sense based on the market, knowing that your brain is probably going to overflate it. Okay, we cannot expect people to value something that is ours, right? Look at that coffee mug example. This is why you see, if you've ever tried to sell something, people love a good deal. So do I, right? I love a good deal. This is why people like lowball you. They're like, oh, that's $100. I'll give you like 15. And you're like, what? I'd rather just donate it at that point, right? They don't value it as much as you. So know that too, from both perspectives, and also be like, do the gut check, and also like do a little online research. What are used items actually selling for? Would you rather post it high and maybe wait longer to get the right buyer and then drop the price later, which is kind of this experiment, which you can absolutely do. But knowing that this is taking your time, your energy, your resources to do all these things. And that's okay. You get to choose your path here. I'm never going to say donate the thing that you could make money for. Okay, that's not my shtick. You know this. So drop the price if you need to. And pick a date, or don't post it, and just pick a date and say, hey, if this hasn't sold at this price by next Sunday, you give it a week or two, then I'm either going to drop the price or I'm going to donate it. Maybe you do a few rounds and then donate it. But having a plan in place in your brain is going to help you cut through that decision fatigue that might happen if it's not selling, right? Here's the thing, you can always change your mind, but with this little experiment, we're helping create forward motion instead of the item just sitting there. This forward motion is where your mental headspace, right? And that piece starts to return. Because remember, it's not just about what you gain from selling, it's about what you get back by making the decision. And y'all, this in true Katie fashion, a lot of what I talk about, think about how we can apply that towards any area of life. This is why I love having this show, right? It's not just about decluttering. There's so many parallels. And you don't have to squeeze every ounce of financial return out of something for it to be worth it. The reality is sometimes we don't have, like, some of us would have to hire someone full time in order to or quit our jobs and post things full time in order to do that. It's simply not possible. Sometimes the best return on investment is peace, regaining time, room to breathe. Think about, oh my gosh, I had this thing sitting, I think it was a baby stroller sitting in my garage. And I wasn't ready to sell it, mostly from the sentimental aspect. But then when I was ready to sell it, I greatly overvalued it. And I was like, well, you can buy them new for $200. I'm going to sell it for $200. And my husband was like, what? It's not really an even exchange. It's used. I think there's like baby puke on it still, right? And I was like, okay, well, I'll do a little research, right? That brought me back down to reality. And then I was ready. Also in that moment, I was like, you know what? I'll post it for like 120. It gets out quick. And guess what? That thing sold in like 10 minutes, right? That's all it took. Just a little extra digging, a little more honesty, and also recognizing that my value. And I needed that space, that clarity, and that lightness more than an extra $20. And there was no way I was going to get $200 out of that, even though I thought it was worth it, because I could go buy it on Amazon or wherever new for $200. So I want to circle back to something before we wrap up. That item you're stuck on, yes, it was valuable, but so is your peace, so is your time. So is walking through your home without the weight of, I'll deal with it later, I'll sell it later, just post it. And if you're feeling stuck, know that you are not the only one. This episode was inspired from a post of one of my students inside the Clutter Cure Club. And she, like a lot of us, was right in that in-between place where something still had that value, but wasn't serving her anymore. So what do? If we don't have a clear direction, we all know how the story ends. The item sits there and it sucks the life out of us until we get into that forward motion. So inside Clutter Cure Club, we love, y'all, this is my space. This is my community. We untangle stuck spots like this every single week. Real women, real families, real homes, real progress. So if you're craving support, if you don't want to do this on your own anymore, if you're ready to move on from maybe I'll list it to, oh, finally that's done, I feel so much better, I'd love to have you inside. Head to the link in the show notes. Hope to see you there. In the meantime, you know what to do. Ready, set, simplify, and I'll see you next week. Bye.